Greetings, Watford fans. Omar here with another edition of the Orns 10-minute take on Watford 4, Luton Town nil. So Watford today in a massive derby game did what they had to do. And one of the things I talked about in the Yuan Saturday Focus was Watford had to play for the badge. You can talk about the tactics, you can talk about the strategy, you can talk about all of that. But first and foremost, and what Watford have to do every game is play for the badge, play for the shirt. And I said that if Watford play for the badge, then they will win this match today. I said if Watford play for the badge, they'd win. If Watford did not play for the badge, they would not win this game. And Watford today played for the badge. And how? Because after just 3 minutes, they were on the score sheet. Keenan Davis scoring from a really good assist from Hassan Kamara. Great finish from Keenan Davis, who turned out to be the man of the match in this one for your Hornets. And he hooked the shot in from close range past the goalkeeper and into the back of the Luton net. 1-0 Watford. And Watford pressed on and pushed on and kept Luton at bay. Luton had very few chances in the first half of the game and really did not make any of them count at all. It was one or two chances. Watford was solid and steady at the back. Watford kept pressing for the second goal, and they finally got it right on the stroke of half time. William Schuster Kong scoring from very close range, and Keenan Davis once again involved. It was a João Pedro corner taken short, and he clipped the ball in deep, a high ball in, headed down by Keenan Davis back across the Luton goal, and it was Truster Kong to smash it home from really from the goal line, smashed it in high into the roof of the Luton Town net to make it a 2-0 Watford scoreline at halftime. And I thought that was a really important moment because Watford at that moment were able to close down the game very well in the first half. Game management at the end of halves, very important for Watford, of course, and they did so today. Sometimes at half times, Watford have given up goals right before the halftime interval, and they did not do that today. The last home game that they played against Norwich, they did allow for a fairly late goal in the first half of the game. But today, Watford's management of the game was very judicious, careful, competent, and fully aware they were competent all across the pitch today. And at halftime, it was a well-deserved lead for Watford. But there was some end product that should have been better and sharper in that first half because they would have probably had 4 goals at half instead of just 2. Some of the balls in the first half weren't sharp enough, weren't passed quickly enough. The ball movement wasn't quite as fast in some of those moments in the first half. But Watford were growing into the game, even despite those moments where they should have scored a few more. What they did in that first half was create goal scoring opportunities. And I've said, particularly lately, if you create enough goal scoring opportunities, you may not score on all of them, but you're going to score on some of them. And you did see that today in the first half of this game. You saw that also in the second half of the game because when the whistle went to start the game again for the second half, Luton made some changes. They made 1 or 2 changes. I think one change, they got their captain off. I think he may have been injured or whatever. But the point is, they replaced him with someone else. They switched the tactics up for Luton did, and they ended up playing a little bit better. They ended up bringing themselves into the game a bit more. The first 5 to 10 minutes, Luton had a bit more possession. They created 1 or 2 chances, but again, they did not finish well at all. One of the big chances they had in this second half was Gabriel Osho, who somehow missed a gilt-edged chance that could have turned things around for Luton, but they were never in this game at all. Watford did not give Luton time on the ball. And after those 10 minutes where Luton had a little bit more possession, a little bit more going forward about them for a bit, Watford turned the tide. And in the 59th minute, they soaked up all that pressure. And in the 59th minute, went on to score what was their crucial third goal. And I thought they needed to get that third goal to put this game to bed, and they did. And it was Keenan Davis, once again, the man of the match in this game, who made all the difference, pressuring the Luton Town goalkeeper into kicking the ball hurriedly straight to none other than João Pedro. And João Pedro took it calmly and smashed it home past the goalkeeper. 3-0 Watford. That was the game then, really done and dusted. Watford pressed Luton, continued to press them into mistakes, harry them all across the pitch. And in the 79th minute of the game, it was another giveaway from Luton, a very careless giveaway in their end of the pitch that gave the goal for Ismail Assar to score. Sarr got the ball, carefully finishing it past the Luton Town goalkeeper. It was a nice finish from Saar in the bottom corner. I believe it was the bottom left-hand corner of the net, the right side of the net, whatever it was, but it was a great goal from Saar, finishing it from a pretty good narrow angle. He was very, very sure with his finishing, and that was done and dusted. Game over. Luton Town back up the M1 with their L. And Nathan Jones, furious after the game, not furious, furious during the game with the officials. I think Nathan Jones set a very poor atmosphere for his team because he was complaining to the ref, complaining to the fourth official, particularly. And I think that rubbed off on his players because you saw that shocking challenge from Gabriel Osho. That was disgraceful from him. Two-footed challenge straight into Ken Sema, and a disgraceful challenge by Osho, and deservedly got the straight red card for that. It was absolutely ridiculous. And Nathan Jones, who was complaining about not having enough players ready because they were all sick with the stomach bug, then said he wasn't making excuses. Well, come on, Nathan, you can't have it both ways, mate. Your team just wasn't good enough today. I mean, own up to that. I think he did. And then he said he wasn't making excuses. Well, when you if you mention that 5 of your players are out for the flu bug, that's making excuses there. Listen, just take the L. You don't like to lose on Derby Day. You got smashed. Take the L and go back up the M1. That's it. Sometimes you just have to admit when your team just got outplayed and they weren't good enough. Just be honest about that. I know he did in part say that in the post game, but the fact of the matter is, Watford today were dominant. Watford were confident. Watford came out and played for the badge. And when you play for the badge, you're not going to lose these games if you give of yourself and give of your efforts. And we know this team is capable of it. They are a very inconsistent side. That's the only thing that is consistent about Watford, is that they are inconsistent. And Lord knows now we're on pins and needles for Saturday against Wigan. But the bottom line here is you got the best 93 minutes of football this season at the Vic. And I'd say you got the best 93 minutes of football that Watford have played this season. You have to say that. And both of these halves of this football match, they were absolutely outstanding. They made Luton poor. They didn't give Luton much time on the ball outside of those 10 minutes in the second half. Watford pressured Luton. They made Luton uncomfortable in possession. You saw that with the goals number 3 and 4. They harried Luton, forced them to make plays that they shouldn't make, forced them into areas of the pitch that they weren't comfortable in. They got the goalkeeper on a couple of occasions there, but there's poor mistakes. I don't know what he was thinking with that third goal, as Keenan Davis pressured him to give up the ball and give it up straight to a Watford player. That is not good football. That is not being switched on. And Watford's pressure made that happen. And Watford were well-deserving winners. They should have had 5 or 6 goals in this game. I think they should have run out 7 or 8-0 winners in this one. Luton Town awfully lucky not to be on the receiving end of an 8-0 hiding, because that really should have been the score today. Watford missed a few chances. The build-up play at times was very, very good, but it was that last bit of end product that wasn't good enough in the first half. And really, I think if Watford had really scored 2 or 3 more goals, this game would have been an absolute blowout. And certainly for me, the ball didn't move quickly enough in the first half. But look, the movement of the ball was much better in the second half. Everybody on the Watford side, their persuasion and their power in wanting to finish this game and play well was very much evident from the start. They all played for each other. I thought that the movement of the ball was excellent second half, and the way that the team played in defense was very good as well. Kudos to both William Troost-Ekong and Craig Cathcart in the defense, and the center half pairing there worked very well today. I thought they both were on the same page. They both led from the back. Troost-Ekong getting his first goal this season for Watford, his second overall for the club. He lives locally in Hertfordshire, so that is an absolute gem for him. He'll be the toast of Watford Town with his very good performance, as will the whole team. The whole team worked for each other. Dan Gosling, again, another sensational game at right back. I know the Millwall game was not a good one for anybody, but the game before that, when he played against Norwich with that big tackle, that big challenge on Josh Sargent to stop them from equalizing in that game at the Vic a couple of weeks ago, you saw Dan Gosling do that kind of work again. He was very good in that right back position, and I was hoping that Dan Gosling was going to continue to play on, and he had a really good game today. And so did all of these Watford players. I thought Saar looked very good in the second half, very sharp. Again, Keenan Davis was the man of the match. João Pedro, excellent. You saw the performances in the middle of the park, particularly today. Chowdhury, who had a really poor game the other day against Millwall, had gone off the ball a bit, looked much, much better today. Kayembe looked energetic and vigorous. Like that, he come off the bench against Millwall, didn't really offer a lot. Had been on a downturn the last few games, Kayembe, but he was well and truly up for it today. Loved his energy, loved his enthusiasm, loved the way they recycled the ball. And one of the things that Watford did so well is really hold the line in that midfield. I think they were much more committed to sticking in and doing the dirty work. You saw tackles flying in all across the pitch. Chowdhury led the way there, so he had a very good game. And I think the midfield in general really controlled the park, marshaled the ball very well. And even when Watford lost the ball, they found ways to get the ball back. Great ball retention after losing it. And the hold up play was very good from Keenan Davis, and João Pedro as well did a bit of that. They made use of the space across the pitch. And one of the things you also saw today from Watford was a commitment to continuing to score goals. They weren't settling down for one or two. They went for more and they kept going. They created those goal scoring opportunities that I talked about in both halves of this game, and they kept going and they made those opportunities count with goal scoring results. That was important. One of the other things I thought was interesting is that I would love for Watford to play every game this rest of this season at 12 p.m. on a Sunday, because we have been absolutely marvelous when that's happened. And the two games where we've had Sunday 12 p.m. kickoffs, it has been 4-0 victories. In fact, the very first game in the Slaven Bilic era was a 4-0 win at Stoke on a 12 p.m. on Sunday. And the latest, most recent game in the Slaven Bilic era was a 4-0 win over the Hatters at home, 12 p.m. at the Vic on Sunday. Were you there? Well, we all were there in spirit, but those of you at the game, you did a great job shouting on your Hornets as they battered the Hatters at the Vic. This has been the Orns 10-minute take.